Finally, some poetry by New York City poet Stephen Bloom. He came to Connecticut to recite on May Day.
Usually on May Day, I'm in New York City at Union Square, and this poem was actually written after May Day last year in New York Square. It's called May Day Trilogy. They stand not 20 feet away from me at the Union Square rally, 7 people chanting something, one through a bullhorn, the others obviously following her lead, but I cannot make out a single word. The amplification from the main stage engulfs us in a tidal wave of sound. Still they chant on, undeterred, because, I suppose, chanting is what one is supposed to do at a May Day rally. Mentally, I salute them and all of the chanters at all of the rallies who keep chanting their chants despite the odds that are stacked against them. 2. Later, I notice a pair of springtime sparrows hopping about for a time among the throng on the steps next to the subway entrance near the southwest corner of the park. Almost as soon as I spy them, however, they fly away, which makes me wonder, did they decide to depart because not one speaker this afternoon has mentioned sparrows among those with whom we must stand in solidarity? 3. I leave early too, have an appointment in Jersey City, but only later as I am driving through the Holland Tunnel does it occur to me that not one speaker this afternoon mentioned poets among those with whom we must stand in solidarity. Immigration, you don't actually have to applaud after each poem. You know, poets don't know when we come to the end of a poem, so how are you going to know, right? This one is on a theme that's important for May Day on immigration. It's called April 10th, 2006, New York City. Sometimes politics proves to be as strange as poetry. Never thought that I would feel at home in a demonstration where one American flag follows another, after another, after another. But today it's not the usual "my country can beat up your country" crowd. No, this time it's the invisible people speaking out loud for a change. I am Haitian, I am Korean, I am Pakistani, they tell me. I am Dominican, I am Mexicana, I am Filipino, I am Ethiopian, I am Jamaican, I am Guatemalan, and I live here too. I will not be less of a human being than you. I fly the flag of my country, and I fly the flag of my other country. For whether I am there or here, your nation would collapse without the work I do. So I stand watching, ask myself whether we have, perhaps, just taken one small step towards the day when every human being will at last fly every flag of every nation and still feel at home. New Year, Gaza, 2008, 2009. Call out the names of the dead so that we may mourn. Call out the names of the dead. Call out the names of their killers so that we may rage as we mourn. Call out the names of their killers. Call out the names of those who march in protest so that we may give thanks as we rage and mourn. Call out the names of those who march in protest. Call out the names peace, justice, freedom, Palestine, so that we may hope as we give thanks, rage, and mourn. Call out the names peace, justice, freedom, Palestine. And when the time has come to call out the names of all who remain silent as we are calling out these names, let us pray that yours will not be among them. I notice in the program that among the people we're commemorating the death of is Mahmoud Darwish, the Palestinian poet. I want to read one of his in memory. It's called "I Come From There." I come from there and I have memories. Born as mortals are, I have a mother and a house with many windows. I have brothers, friends, and a prison cell with a cold window. Mine is the wave snatched by seagulls. I have my own view and an extra blade of grass. Mine is the moon at the far edge of the words, and the bounty of birds, and the immortal olive tree. I walked this land long before swords turned man into prey. I come from there. I render the sky unto her mother, when the sky weeps for her mother, and I weep to make myself known to a returning cloud. To break the rules, I have learned all the words needed for a trial by blood. I learned all the words and broke them up to make a single word, homeland. And this is a poem I read at a tribute to Mahmoud Darwish a couple of months after he died. I did not know Mahmoud Darwish before he died. Consider all the poems I will never know, sunrises I cannot see, songs no one has ever sung to me, all those who walk past on the sidewalk without a name tag pinned close to their hearts. Yet each has a story to tell, if only we would learn how to listen. One obituary described him as a poet who was known for political works but proudest of his personal verses. It is hard for me to determine whether the verse I recite for you now is political or personal. As a fellow poet, I'm inclined to believe that Mahmoud might have shared this conundrum. I did not know Mahmoud Darwish before he died. Still, he helps me learn how to listen to the waves snatched by seagulls or to random beings who sometimes find themselves with an extra blade of grass, sharing words that will sing to us forever. Because his was a personal story, and his was a political story, and his story can be called by the names Palestine and homeland, which will always remain close to our hearts. I did not know Mahmoud Darwish before he died, and yet I have a chance to know him now after the sunset, decide to weep for each individual who remains unrecognized by a returning cloud, and in this way, tell Mahmoud hello today rather than goodbye. Horizons. The indigenous forest dweller who has lived an entire life among the trees, never seen a television set, backyard barbecue, or SUV, will have no word in his language for horizon. Take one of these by the hand, lead him out onto the ledge of a mountain to gaze over the top of the jungle, and he will be unable to understand, retreat, frightened, to the world he has always known. You, who live today in a forest of televisions, backyard barbecues, and SUVs, who have never developed a vocabulary to converse about your own humanity, take my hand, walk with me out onto the ledge of this poem, where we can stand together, gaze at the horizon stretching beyond your imagination. I do not know if you will believe it, but there is no need to be frightened, except perhaps of that urge you may be feeling to retreat back into the darkness of the jungle.